Hey everybody, welcome back to Rolling Through Life. My name is Wanda. I was kind of bored today, so I thought I would do a chat with me. So I got all my beads laid out, or drills, sorry. And we are going to do, I'm hoping this section right here, but we'll see how far we go. I was thinking, what kind of story can I tell you today? You know, I am always confused if it'd be a good story or if you've heard it all before, you know. But we got a lot of new subscribers and they don't know a whole lot about me. So what I thought is, why don't you ask a question down in the comment section and I can make a story time when I diamond paint and answer your questions. I could answer maybe 1 or 2 questions. But today I thought I would talk about my horse riding years. I always did love horses. Most little girls do, I came to find out. Around 9th grade, I met this girl named Michelle, and we became fast friends. She was telling me about her horses, and I said, man, I don't think I'd ever be able to ride horses because they're just so big, they scare me. And she goes, oh no, you could ride one, we got one especially for you. She's gentle, she's smaller, and I think you wouldn't, you know, she said, I think she would enjoy, I would enjoy riding the horse. So, you know, I went to go spend the night with her, and it was funny because my mom was a stickler for an adult always being around, and I would call and I say, is your mom home yet? No. And then, you know, after about 2 hours of that, Michelle said, well, she's on her way home, so if you want to come on over. Well, my mom fell for it. Her mother actually didn't get home till after the bars closed. So, you know, I never did tell my mom that, but we had a great night that night. So the next morning I got up, you know, and she had her chores to do out in the barn, and that's when I met Becky. Becky was a small little horse, very gentle, loved to be petted, and Michelle proceeded to teach me how to saddle a horse. Now, I don't think they do it this way anymore, but she used to knee the horses in the stomach because they have a habit of holding in air when a saddle is put on them. So she would knee the horse so it would let that air out and she could strap the saddle on tight. But I never had the leg strength to do that, so she always had to saddle my horse for me. But the first time I got on the horse, I was so panicked, and I couldn't lift my leg up high enough to the stirrup. I never could do that. So she, you know, luckily she had this huge stone, boulder that was in the driveway that they never could get out. So I used that boulder to stand up on and get myself into the saddle, which was awesome. But it was pretty hard because if we went anywhere and there was no fencing or anything around, it was like a sideshow, me getting on that horse. And that horse was tiny. I'm going to try to, I think Michelle posted a picture of us going down the street on them horses. I'm going to see if I can find that picture and put it in right here. But Becky was the smallest horse, and, you know, we would go into the neighbor's cornfield. You know, I know it's stealing now, but back then, well, I knew it was stealing, but the horses had to be fed, and, you know, the family was poor, so that's how they fed their, besides the oats and stuff they bought, that's how they gave them extra food. So that's what we did. We went out into the woods, to the neighbor's cornfield, and we took feed corn off. Yeah, I mean, we loved going through the woods, and back then, you know, I lived in a small town called Darbydale, and she lived down the road from that, which was pure country. And we would ride the horses through the woods all day long. I mean, I really enjoyed that. And once in a while, we would even take the horses out on the main streets. And my house was about, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 miles from hers. And we would ride the horses all the way to my house, which we would tie the horses up to the fence, which, I mean, my mom didn't really say anything, but I'm sure she did not appreciate all the horse shit that fell alongside the fence during those 4 years I went riding. Because inevitably, once a month we ride out to my house, so so I am sure my mother did not appreciate that at all. But she never said anything. She knew I loved horseback riding, and I mean, I went out to Michelle's every time I could. It was just a good time in my childhood. Well, you know, things happen, you grow up, and we lost touch with each other for a very long time. But I still had a love of horses. I always remembered, you know, going to Michelle's and having a good time, being normal, you know, being able to do something that I thought I'd never be able to do. And I missed those years. I really did. I never did live on a farm or anything like that, so I never got to ride horses again until later. My daughter was maybe 9, 10 years old, and we found a trail riding place, and I thought I was quite the equestrian. Shocker. That did not prove to be a fact. So we went on the trail, and we put my daughter on a horse, and, you know, we had a great time until the end. My daughter, the saddle started coming off, you know, slipping around the side, and my daughter's holding on to this the saddle's horn, and I'm laughing my ass off because she's scared as hell. Yes, I know, bad mom, but it's what happened. And, you know, she was riding the horse sideways. The saddle was completely sideways, and she was going through all the brush and everything. I was trying to get to her, but I was laughing so hard I couldn't get my horse to move. So finally, I stopped the horse around a tree it was going. I went the opposite way and stopped it. And my daughter was screaming so loud. The owners of the horses, or the trail rides, when we got back, said they heard her and they didn't know what was going on. But they didn't come and see what was happening because nobody came back to say anybody was in trouble. But yeah, my daughter still will not get on a horse to this day. I mean, it really shook her. And I did make her get right back on the horse because she couldn't walk all the way back to the barn. But that was the last time she rode a horse. The last time I rode a horse, my son was maybe a year or two. He was on the horse with his dad. And of course, you know, like I said, I thought I was the great equestrian. So I told him, you know, I didn't need a very well-trained horse. You know, I could handle it. Because on trails and stuff, they have horses that are very fidgety, you know, and love to run. And then they have the really soft horses. Well, I said, I can get on one of the bigger horses, not a big deal. Wrong again. my husband at the time took off running, and this horse followed running, and at that time I was losing what strength I had left in my legs, so I couldn't get the horse to stop, and I did not stay on that saddle. That horse just knocked me right off, and yeah, I went flying. We went home that night. You know, I tried to play it up that I was okay. I was just sore. No big deal. Well, that night, I was in just so much pain. Come to find out, I cracked my hip when I landed. And they had to put me in a brace, which I swore I would never wear again after I told the doctor they weren't doing any good for the CP. So I was put in a brace, had to stay in bed to let it heal. But yeah, that was the last time I rode a horse, and I swear right now I will never get on a horse again. Do I miss it? Yes. I felt so free because I never could run very fast, and just riding a horse, I just felt very free. I guess that, you know, it's the only word I could use for that. So yeah, that was my short-lived horse days. But I still love going to the fair and watching the horses go around, you know, barrel racing and stuff like that, watching the competitions. I just, you know, I always daydream that I was in that competition. I actually was going to get a saddle made that I could take to trails, especially for the handicap, to be able to sit in the horse. But by Ohio law, those saddles can only be used on your own personal horse because it's a liability against any farm that uses them, because if something happens, you can't get off the horse right away. It could be a danger. So that plan was nicked, and, you know, I just couldn't do it. So yeah, I never rode again. I miss it. I tried to be as adventuresome as I could get, but with liability and stuff, there's many things that I can't do, such as bungee jumping. I really, really want to go bungee jumping, but due to a hip replacement, I can't do it because a drop like that would pull my hip right out of socket. So no company will take the chance of that happening. So I can't bungee jump. I can't paracord jump, or is it it's something, you know, tandem jumping, that's what it is. I've always wanted to do tandem jumping out of a plane. Can't do that because I cannot put my legs by myself into a sitting position where the legs are, you know, straight out in front of you, so that they can land. So yeah, that's out of the question. I would love to do more adventuresome stuff, but I think I'm just getting too old to even try anymore. So I just sit here and do my diamond painting and, you know, try to find fun in that. Sometimes it's not fun. Sometimes it's boring as hell because I want to get out there and do things. But we all have limitations that we have to stick by, you know. I'm sure there's something that you would love to do that you can't do, and I think everybody faces that as we get older. I don't have a fear of doing anything, but I just can't. The last thing I can do that I loved doing when I was younger is riding coasters. I'm not allowed on wood coasters because they're really rickety, and they're not as smooth running as the newer ones. But yeah, the doctor said I can ride coasters, just not the wooden ones. But I have, last time I rode a coaster was with my son. I had a hard time getting in and out. So I knew that was the last time. But I would love to try one more time. Here in Ohio, up north, we have Cedar Point, which I think is the U.S.'s largest amusement park. Or we have the largest amount of coasters. It's one of those. But, yeah, I miss going and doing things like that. What kind of things did you guys like to do that you can no longer do? Whether it be, you know, lack of funding, lack of whatever it is you want to do being around you, you know, or physically. What do you miss? Because I know, you know, we all had different childhoods where we had something we loved to do, and we just can't do it no more. So I just find comfort now in doing YouTube videos, getting to know people. Honestly, my subscribers here treat me much better than the society as a whole. Yeah, society is still stuck in the times to where they don't want no one around that has difficulties in life. Whether it be money, physically, whatever. You still have those people that just don't want to be around you because you remind them that life is not always rosy, even though in their head life is perfect all the time. Reminds you kind of high school crap, but that's the way a lot of people still think, you know, and that's a shame. It's better than it was in the 70s and 80s, though. I got to admit that. More people are understanding these days than back then. I mean, I can remember in the 5th grade and, well, all of middle school, actually, that people, you know, kids would say I was contagious, and nobody would want to sit lunch with me and all, but that's okay. Well, no, it wasn't. It was okay because it was a new school, but it wasn't okay because I came from a school where we all had something different, and no one was ever treated like that. And it was harsh going into a public school and people saying ugly things like that. You would think it would not bother me now, but it kind of does. Because I think I would have had a better school experience if people would have treated me like anybody else that, you know, they didn't want me in choir. You know, I would think about signing up for choir. And now, I know right now my voice sucks. Back then, when I was young, it was pretty good. But they said, we'll put you over there because we don't want to catch what you have. So I just didn't do it. I just did not do it. When my brother came, you know, decided to, well, when he was put in middle school, some of that stuff stopped because my brother was pretty protective. But not all of it stopped. Most of it was done without his knowledge. And, you know, I went and got a steel back to where I wouldn't tell anybody what was wrong, you know, what was said. And I still do that sometimes. I mean, there's times things bug me and I go on camera with a big old smile because, you know, let's be realistic. You guys don't want to tune into a channel to where every single video I'm crying. Now lives I know is different a little bit, but yeah, you wouldn't want to watch that all the time and know what's going on. That just brings your day down too. And I'm not about that. I'm all about trying to be happy, trying to find the good and stuff. Even though sometimes my life sucks. You know, whose life doesn't suck once in a while, really? You know, I am of the norm these days, for the most part. Just a lot of people don't see it. They see the chair before they see the person. And that's a very true fact. People see this chair before they see me. But I always give people that chance to get to know me, because if you don't give them the chance, they won't realize how nice of a person I can be. And I know some of you doubt that, or you're saying that just to be a smart aleck. But yeah, I mean, come on, if I wasn't nice, I definitely wouldn't be helping in children's church, right? I mean, that's what I keep telling myself. But okay, well, I'm going to end this here. I think it's been long enough. But I might do these more often, because I have to get this one fully finished for the Amazon seller. So I have been working on this one night and day, because my reviews go over good. So I want to get these done. And the next review I have is going to be awesome. So, yeah, you guys have a wonderful Sunday. And don't eat the frosting. You know who I'm talking to. Not good for you. And, you know, get on with that painting. You know who that's directed to. And our person in eyewitness protection. I love you, girl, and I missed you last night. So, yeah, I'm going to see you guys later. I want to do some of the... I got to keep doing this constantly today. But you guys have a great day, and I'll see you probably tomorrow. I'll have another video for you. So you guys take care. Bye.